They say the universe was born from nothing, but Nikola Tesla believed the opposite. He said the universe was born from a thought so powerful, so perfect, that it became sound, light, and movement. And if everything that exists is the echo of that thought, then we ourselves are the echo of God. This was the conviction that made him misunderstood. While other scientists sought formulas, Tesla sought meaning. He looked at electricity and didn't just see sparks. He saw soul. Each electrical discharge was, for him, a fragment of the divine trying to express itself through matter. Imagine someone staring intently at the invisible that they begin to see what others call impossible. Tesla believed that everything that exists vibrates, and that every vibration carries information. For him, energy and consciousness were the same thing in different states. This was the essence of his vision. Energy is not blind, it thinks. The universe is not an accident, it is a living mind. But what would happen if someone truly managed to understand this mind? What if there were a frequency, a sacred wave, that connected man directly to the thought of God? Tesla believed that this frequency existed, and that it was everywhere, in the stars, in the Earth's magnetic fields, in the rhythm of the human heart. Everything pulsed in sync with something greater, something he called the invisible presence. In his experiments, Tesla wasn't just looking for new technologies. He was seeking communion. He believed that understanding energy was understanding the spirit. At a time when materialism dominated science, Tesla spoke of subtle vibrations, mental fields, and spiritual currents that traverse space. He asserted that the universe is not moved by gears, but by intention, and every human being, without realizing it, participates in this cosmic orchestra. Everything is energy. Everything is frequency, he said. If you want to understand the universe, think in terms of vibration. But what he didn't say publicly was the boldest thing of all, that by understanding these vibrations, man could align himself with God's own thought. It was a dangerous idea, because if the divine could be accessed directly, without temples, without intermediaries, without hierarchies, power would cease to belong to those who command and would return to the heart of those who feel. Tesla felt this in every experiment. He spent entire nights in his laboratory, surrounded by electric fields that made the air vibrate. Sometimes he described almost mystical sensations. He said he felt an intelligence responding to his experiments, as if the universe were aware of being observed. Energy is alive, he once noted, and man, when he awakens it, awakens himself. But how to convince the world that God thinks through the waves? How to prove that electricity is, in essence, spiritual? Tesla faced the solitude of someone who sees the future before the world is ready. Newspapers called him eccentric. Industrialists called him a menace. And yet he continued, because what Tesla sought was not fame, it was truth. He said that each invention was merely an attempt to translate an inner vision. Before creating the coil that would revolutionize electrical transmission, he mentally visualized it in every detail, spinning and emitting blue sparks. For him, imagination was not fantasy. It was the first level of reality. Thought was the seed of matter. And this, according to him, explained the power of God, to create only with the mind. That is why Tesla referred to the universe as the body of divine thought. Each atom would be an idea made form. Each vibration, a word in the silent language of the Creator. If the universe is thought, then so is man. Our bodies, our desires, even our doubts, everything vibrates at different levels of this same consciousness. This vision had stayed with him since childhood. As a boy, Tesla used to spend hours watching lightning and storms, mesmerized by its beauty. He said that at that moment, he felt the presence of something grand, as if the sky were thinking aloud. That feeling of awe never left him. He grew up believing that electricity was not just a physical phenomenon, but a divine message, and he spent his life trying to decipher it. Over time, he realized that each scientific discovery led him back to the same question. What is life? Was it merely the movement of particles, or was there an intelligence guiding everything? Tesla chose the latter hypothesis. He said that the mind of the universe is more precise than any equation, and that the laws of physics were nothing more than reflections of this greater mind. But the society in which he lived did not accept minds like his. The 20th century was born obsessed with control and profit. Science was being used as an instrument of power, not wisdom. Tesla saw this as a betrayal of human essence. Science that ignores the spirit is blind, he said. He believed that the future of humanity depended on the ability to understand that energy and consciousness are inseparable, and that any attempt to separate these forces would lead humanity to self-destruction. There is something profoundly human in this struggle. Tesla didn't want to be a prophet, but he ended up being one. Each invention he created was, in a way, a spiritual gesture, an attempt to bring man closer to the divine. Wireless electricity, the transmission of energy through the air, resonance machines, all were bridges between the visible and the invisible. He dreamed of a world where energy was free, infinite, and universal, like divine love. But this dream clashed with the interests of the powerful. Imagine the weight of that. A man who discovers a way to channel cosmic energy and realizes that the world prefers to continue paying for electricity. Tesla understood that his greatest invention wouldn't fit in laboratories. It was a shift in consciousness. But who was ready for that? When humanity understands the spiritual nature of energy, he once said, everything will change. But few listened. Most saw him as a dreamer, others as a danger. He spoke of subtle forces that escaped the materialistic understanding of the time. Everything vibrates. Everything thinks, he said. The universe is a mind, and we are the thoughts that this mind has chosen to have. This simple yet profound phrase sums up his entire philosophy. Tesla saw no separation between man and God, between the physical and the spiritual, between the machine and the miracle. For him, everything was part of the same sacred vibrational field. But this vision, however beautiful it was, isolated him. No one wanted to hear about an electric God. Even so, Tesla never gave up. He continued to believe that one day, man would rediscover the lost link with creation. And perhaps that is why he said that the mind is the center of everything. For him, the human mind is like an antenna. It can tune into any frequency. When it tunes into fear, it creates destruction. When it tunes into love, it creates harmony. And when it tunes into silence, it can hear the very thoughts of God. But what happens when someone truly listens to this? What happens when a human being realizes that they can create, heal, and transform simply by adjusting their own vibration? Tesla knew that this discovery would change the world, and that the world was not ready to change. He used to say that every thought is an invisible force that shapes reality, and that energy follows attention. Look at what you wish to see, and the universe will rearrange its waves to reflect your gaze. This is one of the most dangerous ideas a man can hold, because if true, it destroys the entire logic of power. If reality is shaped by thought, then no one has a monopoly on truth. Tesla defied not only the laws of physics, but also those of human control, and that's why the world preferred to call him crazy, rather than admit he was right too soon. But he didn't resent it. He saw time as an ally. He said that true knowledge is never lost. It merely sleeps until it is rediscovered. Today, his words resonate more strongly than ever. Quantum science is beginning to confirm what he intuitively sensed, that consciousness influences matter, that the observer alters the experiment, that reality responds to the vibration of thought. Tesla was right, but he was silenced, and yet something of his presence remains. It's as if his mind still vibrates through the generations, inspiring those who dare to think beyond the visible. Perhaps that's what he meant when he wrote, "I am not alone. The entire universe is within me." This phrase was not a metaphor. It was an observation. Tesla felt the energy of creation within himself. He saw life as a continuous field of exchange between the human and the divine, and he believed that when man understands this unity, the very notion of limits will disappear. But the question remains, what really happened to this discovery? Why was it never widely accepted? Perhaps because it couldn't be sold. Perhaps because if man realizes that he already carries within himself the same force that creates the universe, the entire system that imprisons him will crumble. Tesla saw this clearly, and yet, he continued to smile. He continued to create. He continued to believe that light, even hidden light, always finds a way to pierce the darkness. He didn't want to be remembered as an inventor, but as a messenger, not of a religion, but of a truth, that everything is vibration, and that the divine speaks through the waves. Deep down, Tesla knew that his ideas would be forgotten for a while, but he also knew that nothing can erase what vibrates in resonance with the very essence of the universe. Therefore, his words sound today like a silent call. Listen to the energy. It is speaking to you. And perhaps that's why, even a century later, we still feel something inexplicable when we hear his name. It's as if your mind remains active, traversing time, trying to remind us of something we've forgotten, that we are part of the invisible presence that moves everything. Because, in the end, perhaps the greatest secret isn't that Tesla discovered the sacred wave. Perhaps the real secret is this: the wave was never outside. It was always within us. There are times when something common, almost banal, transforms into a mystery. A sound, a sensation, a coincidence. Have you ever had that feeling that everything around you seems coordinated, as if the universe were speaking to you through subtle signals? Nikola Tesla believed that this is not an illusion, it's vibrational communication. He said that reality responds to the frequency of consciousness, and that when man comes into harmony with the field that surrounds him, the world itself begins to reflect his vibration back. Imagine walking down the street, and suddenly a thought comes to mind, something you needed to hear, an answer to an old question. Do you believe this is just chance? Tesla would say no. For him, thoughts are not born within the mind, they are captured. The human mind is an antenna, and the space around us is a sea of vibrational information. When we tune into the correct frequency, we receive what has always been there. This idea fascinated him. He believed that the universe is like an immense symphony of energy. Each atom vibrates at a specific tone, and together they form the music of existence. The sound of a falling drop, the hum of the wind, the rhythm of the heart. Everything is part of the same invisible orchestra. Tesla said that if we could understand this vibrational language, we would understand the very code of creation. But what does this mean for us in everyday life? It means that every emotion, thought, and intention alters our personal frequency, and with that influences the field around us. When you feel anger, your body vibrates at a dense frequency. When you feel love, it rises. The difference is imperceptible to the eye, but totally real. Just as a discordant note can distort a melody, an unbalanced mind distorts the field around it. Tesla used to say that man is a microcosm within the macrocosm. That is, everything that happens in the universe also happens within us. On a smaller scale, when the body is in harmony, it reflects the order of the cosmos. When it is in chaos, it reflects the disharmony of the world. This is a truth that spans centuries, confirmed by ancient traditions and now rediscovered by modern science. He observed that ancient civilizations already knew this. The pyramids of Egypt, for example, were not just tombs. They were instruments of resonance. Each stone, each angle, each proportion obeyed a sacred geometry that amplified certain frequencies of the earth. Tesla saw in these monuments proof that the ancients not only knew about energy, but interacted with it, and perhaps that's why he was so fascinated by sounds and proportions. Music, for him, was the audible reflection of universal harmony. Just as a musician needs to tune their instrument to play a melody, human beings need to tune their minds to get in tune with creative energy. A simple example of this is in brainwaves. When we are at peace, the brain emits slower, more coherent frequencies. When we are under stress, these waves become chaotic. Tesla saw in this phenomenon the explanation for something that mystics and philosophers have always said, that the inner state shapes outer reality. The world does not respond to what we want. It responds to what we vibrate. Think about the times you've tried to change something in life with effort, but nothing happened. And then, suddenly, when you relaxed, everything started to flow. Tesla would say that this happens because energy only moves when there is harmony. He compared human thought to an electric current. If there is resistance, the energy dissipates. If there is alignment, the flow is continuous. Thus, all true change begins from within, by adjusting the frequency of the mind and heart. Tesla believed that there is a point of equilibrium between reason and emotion, between science and spirituality. He said that when the mind and heart vibrate in unison, what he called the field of divine coherence arises. In this state, man does not think about the universe. He thinks along with the universe. And perhaps that is why, in his moments of greatest inspiration, Tesla claimed to feel as if it were not he who was creating, but something much greater guiding him. "Ideas come to me like lightning," he once wrote. "I see them whole with all the details, and I simply reproduce them." This form of intuition accompanied him throughout his life. He believed that true knowledge is not acquired, it is remembered. The According to him, the human being is an extension of the cosmic mind and can access any information when connected to the right frequency. This concept may seem mystical, but it is already appearing today in research on the quantum field and non-local consciousness. What Tesla called God's thought is what modern physics calls a unified field. He said that formulas are merely human attempts to translate the ineffable. Nature doesn't calculate, it vibrates. Everything that exists spontaneously organizes itself through resonance. When two vibrations align, they add up and create harmony. When they oppose each other, they generate conflict. This is the basis of existence. The entire universe is made of the encounters and disencounters of waves. Consider, for example, the people you attract or repel throughout your life. Sometimes, without knowing why, we feel an immediate connection with someone or an inexplicable resistance. Tesla believed this happens because each human being emits a unique vibrational field, and this field interacts with that of others, creating affinities or repulsions. He used to compare it to two violin strings. If you pluck one, the other vibrates at the same note, even without being touched. That's resonance. Human relationships, thoughts, and even destinies work the same way. But there is an even deeper mystery. If the universe is vibration, who made it vibrate first? Where did the first note, the first sound, the first impulse come from? Tesla believed that everything began with a primordial consciousness, a divine mind that thought and in the act of thinking created movement. This would be the true origin of time and matter. The universe is not a random explosion, but a continuous thought that expands. And we, because we are within this thought, are able to feel it. Imagine the impact of that. If creation is a thought, and thought is vibration, then all of reality can be altered by the way we think. Tesla believed that prayer, meditation, and even love were forms of vibrational engineering. When a person feels deeply, they reorganize the field around them. He said that the heart is the true generator of the body's energy, and that its electromagnetic field is thousands of times stronger than that of the brain. When we love, we literally radiate a frequency capable of altering the physical environment. This knowledge changes everything. It means that healing, thriving, and even understanding the meaning of life are not external acts, but internal adjustments of vibration. And this is where Tesla starts to become problematic. Because if human beings have within themselves the capacity to create reality, external control loses its power. Religions, governments, industries, all systems based on dependency become fragile. That is why he was silenced. Not because his inventions threatened the economy, but because his ideas threatened control over the human mind. He used to say that the secret lies in the sound, that the universe speaks, but few listen. And when someone questioned him about what he meant by the thought of God, he would calmly reply, "It is the wave that carries the blueprint of creation. Everything that is alive vibrates on that wave. And when a human being tunes into it, he not only understands the universe, he becomes part of it." It's curious how something so vast can manifest itself in such simple gestures. A sigh of relief, a word spoken with sincerity, a comforting look. All of these emit frequencies that reorganize the surrounding field. Every conscious act is a positive interference in the matrix of reality. Perhaps that is why, in an increasingly chaotic world, silence has become the most powerful portal. Silence is not the absence of sound, it is the return to the original frequency. Tesla believed that in silence, man could hear the sound of the universe breathing. What if you stopped now for just a few seconds and tried to listen beyond the artificial noises? The sound of cars, voices, screens. Perhaps you would notice something subtle, almost imperceptible but constant, a vibration that has always been there. He called it the music of the invisible. And perhaps deep down that's the message Tesla wanted to leave, that we are not disconnected, just distracted. The sacred wave was never lost, only forgotten amidst the noise of the world. What if everything around you, the sound of the wind, the beating of your heart, the rhythm of your thoughts, is at this very moment trying to remind you of that original harmony? The answer may lie in something Tesla wrote shortly before he died. There is a living energy in everything. When we understand it, we will create in harmony with the Creator. But until then, one question remains, hanging over us like an unfulfilled promise. If creation is a wave, who is really conducting the symphony? There is something profoundly unsettling about the idea that the universe thinks. Because if it thinks, who are we? Thoughts within a thought, echoes of a mind that never sleeps. Tesla believed so. He said that man is a conscious spark within the cosmic brain, and that every act of creation, from art to science, is the universe thinking through us. This vision was not poetic, it was literal. For him, the human mind does not generate ideas, it only captures them. The genius, he said, is the one who has learned to listen to the silence where the cosmos speaks. But what if this ability wasn't the privilege of a few? What if we all had access to the same invisible source of knowledge, but we've forgotten it because we're surrounded by noise? Tesla believed that noise, the excess of stimuli, fear, and haste, prevents attunement with the field of creation. Silence, on the other hand, opens a direct channel to the infinite. The universe speaks in vibrations so subtle that only the heart perceives them, he said. This idea changes everything, because if the heart is the receiver of divine consciousness, then the true laboratory of creation is not in the hands, but within the being. Tesla spent hours in contemplation, observing patterns of energy dancing in the air, and said that he saw instructions in them, perfect geometries, numerical combinations that revealed hidden laws of nature. The numbers 3, 6, and 9 were the focus of his obsession. He claimed that the code to the universe was contained within them. But what is so special about these numbers? Why did Tesla call them the keys to creation? If you observe, you will see that the number 3 appears throughout the structure of reality. The 3 dimensions of space, the 3 phases of matter, the 3 notes that form the basic chord of music. The number 6 is the double of this harmony, the expansion. The number 9 is the sum, the return to the origin, the complete cycle. Tesla saw in this a divine signature, a mathematical language written in the subtext of the universe. And here an uncomfortable question arises. If the universe has a code, who wrote it? This is the frontier where science bows before mystery. Tesla crossed this frontier more than once. He said that each discovery made him more aware of the presence of something infinitely intelligent, operating behind it all. But unlike the religious people of his time, he did not see God as a being who judges. He saw him as a vibrational principle that thinks, creates, and loves through the laws of energy. He believed that everything that exists is moved by resonance. Resonance is the force that makes two bodies vibrate together, even at a distance. When a wave encounters another of the same frequency, they unite and become stronger. Tesla applied this principle to his own life. He said that to achieve anything, human beings need to resonate with what they desire. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are, he wrote. But how can someone change their own vibration? That was the real question behind all of his experiments. He believed that emotions are energy fields capable of altering our internal frequency. Fear destroys vibrational coherence. Love restores it. When a person feels gratitude, their entire body changes. The heart rate adjusts, the electromagnetic field of the heart expands, and the mind synchronizes with the Earth's field. Science confirms this today, but Tesla had already suspected it more than a century ago. What if our emotions were the true driving force of the universe? This hypothesis, which seems philosophical, is profoundly practical. Tesla believed that the future of humanity would depend on the ability to transform emotion into constructive energy. The man who masters his emotion masters energy, he said, and perhaps that is why he was able to imagine and materialize with such clarity. His mind was not fragmented by fear, but there's a paradox here. The closer Tesla got to the divine, the more isolated he became from humanity. The world did not understand his silence, nor his sensitivity. He spoke of vibrations, frequencies, and consciousness in an era driven by coal, smoke, and ambition. People wanted inventions that generated profit, not truths that would liberate the soul. Have you ever felt like this? Understanding something that others around you can't see? It's a type of solitude that Tesla knew well. He said that solitude is necessary to hear the mind of the universe. In his laboratory at night, surrounded by electrical noises, he described seeing forms of light emerging from nowhere. He called these apparitions conscious fields. For him, electricity was alive. Energy is intelligent, he stated. It responds to intention. This phrase, if understood in depth, changes everything we believe about reality. If energy responds to intention, then every thought, every gesture, and every word becomes a creative act. Nothing is neutral. Everything emits a wave. And here arises an uncomfortable reflection. How many times do we emit waves of fear, doubt, or anger without realizing that we are constructing realities with them. Tesla viewed thought as a physical force, a vibrational field capable of altering the surrounding space. He believed that by aligning the mind with a higher frequency, human beings could heal, transform, and even influence natural phenomena. It seems impossible, but try to remember a time when you were in profound peace and suddenly, everything around you seemed to cooperate. People were kind, events flowed smoothly. Is this coincidence or resonance? Tesla said that coincidence is merely harmony perceived too late. The universe is always responding. It's us who aren't listening. But why was this wisdom forgotten? Because modern man has been taught to look only at what is visible, and what cannot be measured is considered non-existent. Tesla knew that this limitation would destroy the human spirit. Man has separated science from the soul, he said, and that is why he suffers. He saw humanity as an out-of-tune orchestra, trying to play without hearing the baton of the cosmic conductor. And what's most impressive is that, even in isolation, he continued to believe that humanity was capable of rediscovering harmony. For that, a simple gesture was enough: to feel again. When a man truly feels, not thinks but feels, he reconnects with the source. That is why Tesla said that the heart is wiser than the brain. The brain analyzes, the heart understands. Today, studies show that the heart's field of view directly influences the nervous system, memory, and perception. Tesla already knew this intuitively. When the heart and brain vibrate together, he wrote, the human mind becomes limitless. Have you ever noticed how time seems to slow down when you are at peace? It's as if the universe breathes with you. Tesla said that this is the natural state of creation, a perfect, silent, and eternal rhythm. But man, by living in constant conflict, breaks this synchronicity. That is why he feels tired, anxious, and fragmented. He believed that every physical illness is, in fact, an energetic dissonance, a misaligned vibration at some point in the body. And that's where the practical dimension of his vision comes in. Tesla dreamed of creating devices that would restore human health through resonance, harmonizing bodily frequencies with cosmic frequencies. He said it would be possible to heal the body using the same principle that keeps planets in orbit. But what would happen if this knowledge were actually applied? A world where man could frequently heal himself, generate energy without fuel, and communicate wirelessly seemed too threatening for the structures of the time. And so, what Tesla discovered about vibrational power was hidden, fragmented, and distorted. But there was something they couldn't erase: the feeling that he was right. Think about it. Every modern advancement, from wireless communication to clean energy, is a reflection of the ideas he left behind. What we call technology is merely a shadow of the consciousness that Tesla was trying to reveal, and he knew it. The future will confirm everything I say, he once stated, but perhaps the future is too deaf to hear. Today, when we observe the world, we realize how much this prophecy is being fulfilled. We live connected, yet empty, surrounded by technology, but detached from meaning. Tesla said that humanity is heading towards a critical point. Either it rediscovers the divine code of vibration, or it will be consumed by its own disharmony. What if that choice is happening right now inside you? What if the next step in evolution isn't technological, but vibrational? Perhaps that is why Tesla's message remains relevant. He wasn't just talking about electricity, he was talking about awakening, of a silent power that is not measured in volts but in consciousness, of a frequency that is not transmitted by wires, but by intention. And perhaps, when you finish listening to this part, something within you will begin to vibrate differently, a subtle calling, a desire to reconnect with the invisible. Because in the end, what Tesla tried to teach the world is that infinity is not out there. It's pulsing inside you right now. There is a kind of silence that doesn't come from a lack of sound, but from an absence of recognition. It is the silence that envelops visionaries when their ideas surpass the world's comprehension. Nikola Tesla knew this silence better than anyone. He found it not in empty laboratories, but in the indifference of a society that chose convenience over truth. In the early years of the 20th century, Tesla was on the verge of a revolution. His most ambitious project, the Wardenclyffe Tower, promised to transmit electrical energy wirelessly to anywhere on the planet. The idea was simple and brilliant. The Earth and the atmosphere could act as natural conductors, freely distributing energy to everyone. Imagine a world without cables, power plants, or electricity bills. Energy would be as abundant as air, But what happened next changed the fate of humanity. J.P. Morgan, the banker who financed the project, asked Tesla, "If everyone can receive energy for free, where is the profit?" Tesla replied, "In the progress of civilization." That was his sentence. Funding was cut off, newspapers began to ridicule him, and the tower, a symbol of a free future, was eventually demolished in 1917. History is cruel to those who dream too much. Tesla had discovered something too grand for the system. His proposal for wireless energy would not only eliminate the profits of electric companies, but also challenge the global power structure. He believed that access to energy would be a human right, and that a planet in energetic harmony would produce a more just humanity. "Peace will only come when man learns to convert energy into compassion," he said. But the world wasn't interested in peace. And gradually, the man who illuminated the planet with alternating current began to be left in the dark. Between 1912 and 1930, Tesla registered more than 700 patents. Some of them were never understood. Others disappeared under mysterious circumstances. He claimed to have developed an interplanetary communication technology based on resonant frequencies and said he had received signals from space. When he told this to the press, they laughed. Decades later, radio and astronomy would confirm that the universe does indeed emit constant waves, and that many of them can carry information. Tesla was right, but it was too late for them to take him seriously. There are curious records about what happened after his death in 1943. The FBI confiscated all his documents and classified them as a national secret. Many of these files were only partially released decades later. Among them are references to unlimited energy devices, instant communication systems, and even weapons based on resonance waves. It is almost impossible to determine what was fiction and what was truth. But one thing is certain: the American government took his papers seriously enough to hide them for more than 60 years. Why so much fear of a man who believed in universal harmony? Perhaps because Tesla wasn't just talking about machines, but about freedom. He saw energy as a reflection of consciousness. Whoever controls energy controls the world, and whoever liberates it liberates humanity. Today, it is estimated that around 80% of the world's energy still depends on fossil fuels. Meanwhile, patents related to free energy remain blocked or discredited. The planet spends trillions of dollars a year exploiting finite resources, while Tesla's ideas could have led us to a sustainable future more than a century ago. The environmental impact of this choice is devastating. More than 9 million people die annually from pollution-related causes. Tesla predicted this collapse. "Humanity walks like a child playing with gunpowder," he warned in 1934. But he also believed that every destruction is an opportunity for rebirth. "Progress comes from those who listen to the invisible," he said. And perhaps that is why he endured isolation with serenity. He knew that truth has its own rhythm, and that time always does justice to that which vibrates in harmony with reality. There is a little-known scene that shows who he really was. In the winter of 1937, already elderly, Tesla walked alone through New York feeding injured pigeons. He once told a reporter, "Among all beings, only they understand me. When one of them is sick, I feel their pain as if it were my own. When they are healed, I feel joy." This sensitivity, which many called eccentricity, was living proof of his connection to the universal field. He saw the divine vibration in everything, even in the wings of a bird. But the world preferred to see weakness where there was compassion. While Edison was celebrated as a hero, Tesla lived in a forgotten hotel room, surrounded by notes and memories. He didn't lament the loss of fame, but the loss of human listening. "People stopped feeling," he said. "And without feeling, you can't create anything that lasts." This is perhaps the greatest contrast of the modern era. We are surrounded by technology, but distanced from purpose. Tesla already warned, machines will evolve, but if man does not evolve inwardly, he will be their slave. Today, this sounds more like a prophecy than a metaphor. We live in a world that produces more information than wisdom, more noise than music, and the more connected we seem, the more disconnected we become. There's a curious statistic. It's estimated that, in a single day, a modern human being is exposed to more visual and auditory stimuli than a person from the 19th century received in their entire life. Tesla foresaw this phenomenon and feared that information overload would extinguish intuition. He said that the human mind is like an antenna. The more interference, the less clarity. Today, global anxiety levels are reaching record highs. And paradoxically, we've never had so much access to the technology Tesla dreamed of creating. Perhaps the problem was never the invention, but its use. During the last years of his life, Tesla wrote in small notebooks, many of which have never been found. In one of these recovered notes, there is a simple but powerful phrase: "The universe speaks only to those who know how to listen." This phrase summarizes his entire legacy. Because Tesla did not see energy as something to be exploited, but as something to be understood, he believed that true science is a spiritual act, that the goal of knowledge is not to dominate, but to integrate. Man has separated reason from the soul and created darkness. He once wrote, "It's impossible not to notice how this separation still defines us. We create machines to replace the heart, algorithms to simulate emotion, and networks that promise connection, but deliver distraction." Tesla didn't hate technology, he loved it, but he believed it should reflect the harmony of nature, not replace it. Interestingly, some of his ideas are beginning to resurface. Modern scientists are studying phenomena that Tesla described without formulas: toroidal energy fields, quantum communication, wireless energy transmission, and vibrational medicine. Everything that once sounded like madness is now called innovation. But something is still missing: a spiritual understanding of what all this means. Have you ever wondered what would happen if, suddenly, everyone had unlimited access to energy? If the cost of electricity disappeared? If transportation and production became free? If scarcity ceased to exist? It seems utopian, but Tesla saw it as inevitable. He believed that the universe is abundant by nature, and that scarcity is a mental construct. Poverty is a failure of perception, he said. The universe knows no limits. And perhaps that is why his ideas were so frightening. They would not only liberate humanity from material dependence, but also from mental dependence. A man who understands that everything is energy cannot be controlled by fear. A man who understands that God vibrates in every atom, does not bow before any power. This is the true revolution that Tesla started, and that the system tried to extinguish. Today, almost a century after his death, Tesla's predictions about the future continue to come true. He foresaw the arrival of mobile devices, global communication networks, and even artificial intelligence. In 1926, he said, "When wireless technology is perfected, the whole world will become one brain. Everyone will be connected instantly." He wasn't describing the future, he was seeing the present. But still, something essential is missing. Humanity has connected the machines, but disconnected the soul. Tesla believed that the next evolutionary leap would not be technological, but vibrational. "The day science studies non-physical phenomena," he said, "it will advance more in a decade than in all the previous centuries." This is the crossroads where we still stand. The human mind has expanded its control over matter, but has forgotten the code that keeps it alive, the sacred wave, the thought of God. And perhaps that's why, amidst so much evolution, we still feel empty. Progress is nothing without presence. Energy is nothing without intention. Nikola Tesla died alone, but he never gave up on humanity. He said that the future would understand him, and perhaps that moment is finally arriving. With each quantum discovery, with each piece of evidence that consciousness influences reality, a piece of his legacy is restored. It's as if his voice, once muffled, begins to echo again amidst the noise of the 21st century. But one question remains unanswered. One that Tesla didn't answer, but left open for anyone brave enough to listen. If everything is vibration, who is really modulating the frequency of humanity right now? The Earth breathes. This is not a metaphor, it's a scientific fact. The planet emits rhythmic pulses that travel through the atmosphere and resonate with the human body. This vibration, known as the Schumann resonance, was first measured in 1952. The result surprised researchers: 7.83 Hz. Exactly the range of human brain waves in a state of deep relaxation. Tesla predicted this decades earlier, when he stated that the Earth is a living organism, and that the human mind is merely an extension of its consciousness. "Man is a wire within the electric field of the Earth," he wrote. Imagine what that means. In simple terms, your brain is constantly adjusting to the rhythm of the planet. When you feel at peace, it's because your mind has synchronized with the Earth's natural vibration. When you're anxious, it's because you've lost that connection. Tesla said that harmony between man and the planet is the basis of all health, physical, mental, and spiritual. He believed that life is sustained by an invisible energy field that permeates everything, and that illness is, in fact, a dissonance within that field. Today, science is beginning to confirm this view. The HeartMath Institute in the United States discovered that the electromagnetic field of the human heart is about 5,000 times stronger than that of the brain. It can be measured meters away from the body. When a person feels elevated emotions such as love or gratitude, this field becomes coherent. The waves align in harmony, and this positively influences those nearby. Tesla called this phenomenon vibrational communion. He believed that love is not a feeling but a physical force, a measurable energy that connects all things. It sounds mystical, but it's pure physics. When two frequencies align, they create a reinforcing pattern, a state of resonance. It's the same principle that makes a bridge sway and collapse if someone steps on it at the right rhythm, or a glass shatter when a singer hits a specific note. Tesla saw the entire universe as a vast system of interconnected resonances. Nothing exists in isolation, he said. Every vibration influences every other. But what happens when the collective vibration of humanity becomes out of sync? Over the last 100 years, the Earth's frequency has begun to oscillate. Satellites have detected that the Schumann resonance has increased during certain periods, something that many scientists still don't fully understand. At the same time, humanity is experiencing the highest levels of stress, anxiety, and disconnection in history. Coincidence? Tesla would say no. He believed that human consciousness is an active component of the Earth's field. When billions of people vibrate with fear, anger, or despair, the Earth itself responds. This would explain why extreme weather events, social tensions, and emotional breakdowns seem to intensify simultaneously. It's as if the planet is mirroring humanity's mental state, and if that's the case, restoring inner peace isn't just an individual act, it's an ecological gesture. Tesla had a curious saying, "The universe reacts to human emotion as the body reacts to touch." He meant that the cosmos is not indifferent, it responds. Every thought is a wave sent into the universal field. When many minds emit the same vibration, that wave becomes powerful enough to reorganize matter. Today we call this collective coherence, something that can be measured in quantum physics and neuroscience experiments. French scientist René Piach, for example, conducted an experiment with newborn chicks. They were exposed to a robot that moved randomly, but over time, the robot began to move more and more in the direction of the animals. The researchers concluded that the chick's intentions influenced the machine's behavior. In another study, conducted at Princeton University, random number generators began to produce less chaotic patterns in places and moments of great collective emotion, such as disasters, sporting events, and even mass meditations. This suggests that the field of human consciousness has a measurable physical effect on the world. Tesla already said this a century earlier. Thought is a force. The more intense the emotion, the greater its electrical charge. But if human consciousness influences the planet, the opposite is also true. NASA has recorded that Earth's magnetic field has been weakening in recent years, and that there are anomalous fluctuations at the poles. Scientists don't know the exact reason, but Tesla believed that the Earth's field is sensitive to the vibrational state of humanity. He saw the planet as a quantum mirror of the collective mind, a living being that responds to what we feel. What if we are literally altering the Earth's vibration with our thoughts? This hypothesis seems bold, but there is evidence pointing in all directions. Studies show that during periods of war, variations in the Earth's magnetic field increase. During global prayer or meditation events, these fluctuations decrease. In other words, the planet listens to human consciousness. Tesla said that if a sufficient number of people vibrated in harmony, physical reality itself would reorganize itself. Now imagine, what would happen if all of humanity learned to vibrate at a frequency of love and coherence? Perhaps we would see not only inner peace but also climate balance, abundance, and natural regeneration. The planet would no longer need to correct us with catastrophes. It would respond to our harmony. Tesla believed that the Earth's field is the same as what the ancients called ether, the vibrational ocean where all energy and information move. He said that this field is intelligent and that human beings can interact with it consciously. This would explain phenomena such as intuition, synchronicity, and even premonition. When we are in tune, we pick up signals that have not yet manifested in the physical world. It's as if the universe whispers what is about to happen. But why, then, have we become disconnected from this intelligence? Perhaps because we live in constant noise. Tesla warned that excessive artificial stimulation, sounds, lights, disordered thoughts, interrupts the mind's natural ability to align itself with the subtle field of the earth. He said that if we wanted to understand the cosmos, we would first need to relearn how to listen to the silence. The human mind is like a compass, he stated. It only points north when there is no interference. Today, there is evidence that continuous exposure to artificial electromagnetic fields, such as those generated by electronic devices, alters brain activity and sleep patterns. The human body, a perfectly resonant machine, is being bombarded by frequencies that distort its natural alignment. Tesla would have seen this as a tragedy. Humanity's disconnection from the Earth's vibration is also disconnection from the divine vibration. However, he didn't see this as an end, but as an invitation. He said that chaos is merely the way the universe uses to reorganize harmony, that each crisis is an opportunity for recalibration. Just as a discordant string needs to be tightened before it sounds perfect, humanity needs to traverse dissonance to rediscover the right frequency. Today, resonance-based technologies are beginning to emerge quietly. Frequencies of 528 Hz, known as the frequency of love, have been studied for their regenerative effects on cells. Others, such as 432 Hz, show a positive impact on heart rate and mental clarity. Interestingly, Tesla said that the entire universe vibrates in multiple harmonics of these same tones. For him, each sound is a fragment of God's mind. What if humanity's cure doesn't come from medicine, but from the right music? What if the science of the future is a symphony of precise frequencies that restore the body and consciousness? Tesla believed so. He saw health not as the absence of disease, but as harmony between man and the cosmos. The human body is a harp that must be tuned to the music of the universe, he wrote. And perhaps that's the great irony. The more technologically advanced we become, the closer we get to the spiritual truths he proclaimed 100 years ago. Modern physics now speaks of quantum entanglement, connected particles that influence each other instantaneously, even when separated by billions of kilometers. For Tesla, this was obvious. Separation is an illusion. The universe is one body. What he called the thought of God is what physicists today call the unified quantum field. The difference is that Tesla saw this field not as a mechanism, but as a mind. He believed that the universe is conscious and that we are its thinking cells. When we are aligned, creation expands. When we become misaligned, the field responds with disorder, just as the body reacts to illness. This vision may seem abstract, but it has concrete implications. If the physical world is shaped by vibrations, then every act, every thought, and every emotion has creative power. This is why Tesla believed that the future of humanity would depend on vibrational consciousness. He said that when man understands the power of his own mental waves, he will be able to transform reality consciously, without violence, without fear, only with pure intention. And perhaps the deepest secret lies in something simple. Energy follows attention. What you focus on grows. Where you place your consciousness, the field organizes itself. Tesla stated that the universe is like a sensitive lens. It amplifies exactly what you vibrate. If we vibrate scarcity, it increases. If we vibrate love, it multiplies. This means that human evolution is not just biological or technological. It's vibrational. The next leap will not come from machines but from minds in harmony. And when that happens, when humanity learns to think in harmony with the Earth's field, there will be no separation between science and spirituality, between man and God. The planet will once again breathe at the same rhythm as human consciousness. And perhaps then, finally, the thought of God will be heard again, not like distant thunder, but like a gentle echo within every living being, reminding us that we have never been separated from the source. Because, in the end, what Tesla always tried to tell the world was simple. The energy that moves the stars is the same energy that pulsates within you. There is something that always returns, even after being forgotten. An ancient vibration, a silent memory that calls us back to the origin. Nikola Tesla said that nothing is truly lost in the universe. It only changes form, waiting to be found again. And perhaps that is what is happening now. The world he tried to awaken is finally beginning to hear the same frequency that moved him, the thought of God. But what does this mean in practice? This means that transformation is not an external phenomenon, but an internal one. The field that Tesla described is not just in the stars or in laboratories. It lives within each of us. Each person is an extension of the universe, a spark of creative consciousness. And when that spark awakens, the surrounding reality reorganizes itself. Tesla's true legacy lies not in his inventions, but in the understanding that energy is a reflection of the mind. Everything we think, feel, and believe shapes the field around us. He said that man is the transmitter and receiver of universal energy, and this simple phrase contains immense power. It means that the world we live in is the result of the frequencies we emit daily: fear, love, doubt, hope. Each emotion is a command sent to the universe. Therefore, the first step to changing the world is to change your personal vibration. But how can we do that on a planet that lives in noise, fear, haste, and distraction? Tesla believed that human beings could restore their alignment with the universal field through small, simple, and silent daily practices, but with enormous effect. The plan begins with what he called moment of harmony. Dedicate 5 minutes a day to listening to what has no sound. Close your eyes, slow your breathing, and feel your body as part of the energy that surrounds you. At first, it will seem empty, but gradually you will realize that silence has texture, that there is a subtle vibration pulsing around you. It is the field Tesla spoke of, the same one that vibrates in the mountains, the trees, and the stars. When you feel it, the mind changes. And when the mind changes, the field responds. The second step is observe your thoughts like someone observing the sky. Each thought is a wave. Some are gentle, others turbulent. If you react to each one, you create internal storms. But if you simply observe, the sky becomes clear again. Tesla said that the mind is a sensitive transmitter. It becomes disoriented by noise, but realigns itself with attention. The practice of observation brings back vibrational clarity. You begin to perceive the real impact of each emotion on your body and on others. The third step is vibrate with intention. This isn't superficial positive thinking. It's active awareness. Consciously choosing the emotion you want to amplify. Energy follows attention, and where your attention is, there is your creation. If you choose to feel gratitude before you have reasons to feel it, you are emitting the signal that attracts new reasons. It's emotional physics, not superstition. Tesla said that the universe amplifies what is felt with purity. The fourth step is to act in harmony with the vibration you wish to maintain. It's no use radiating love while living in conflict. Action is the materialization of frequency. This means cultivating attitudes that support the inner state you want to expand. Kindness, listening, presence. Every gesture, however small it may seem, is a form of energetic communication. When you speak sincerely, the vibration of your voice changes. When you act with purpose, the field around you expands. The fifth step is reconnect with nature. Tesla said that Earth is the greatest resonance laboratory that exists. Walking barefoot, breathing consciously, observing the sky, all of this realigns the body with the planet's natural rhythm. The heart begins to beat at the right frequency again. The mind begins to listen again. Many studies have already shown that direct exposure to the Earth's magnetic field reduces inflammation, improves mood, and stabilizes sleep. It's a return to the original vibration. The sixth and final step is to serve consciously. The highest vibration a human being can emit is that of service, not out of obligation, but out of compassion. Helping others is the most direct way to align yourself with the universal field, because by uplifting others, you uplift yourself. Tesla said that humanity is a circuit. The energy you send out is the same energy that feeds it. When you offer kindness, it returns as strength. When you share knowledge, it multiplies. These 6 steps are not theories. They are simple vibrational practices that transform anyone into a conscious participant in creation. Tesla believed that the human mind is like an antenna that can be calibrated to pick up the harmony of the universe. And every time someone does that, a fragment of chaos dissolves. The world changes not when everyone talks about change, but when some begin to vibrate differently. The beauty of this is that there are no geographical, social, or religious limits to this transformation. The field of consciousness is shared. When one person rises, thousands are influenced without knowing it. When a community vibrates in coherence, the entire planet feels it. There is evidence of this in studies on the global impact of collective meditation and mass emotional behavior. But Tesla had already predicted, when human minds are attuned to love, the earth will sing again. And perhaps that's what the world is trying to tell us now. The crises, the collapses, the polarizations, it's all a reflection of a humanity that has forgotten its natural frequency. We are out of sync, and the only way back is to vibrate consciousness. Tesla believed that the universe is self-sustaining and intelligent, that it always seeks balance, and if chaos is what we see today, it's because balance is trying to re-establish itself. The role of each of us, then, is to choose the vibrational side of this correction. We can continue reacting with fear and reinforcing the dissonance, or we can choose to vibrate in tune with God's thought, the original, pure, creative wave. And this choice is not symbolic, it's practical. It begins with how we treat people, the energy we put into our words, the attention we give to what we consume and what we think. Every decision, however small it may seem, is a micro-frequency that feeds the collective field. What if the entire world decided to vibrate in love and harmony for just one day? The Earth's magnetic field would change. Science has already measured this on small scales. Tesla dreamed of seeing it on a planetary scale. He believed that humanity's future would not be achieved through wars or machines, but through the conscious vibration of each individual. The power is here now, in the vibrational choice of each breath. Perhaps the greatest miracle is realizing that we don't need to wait for the world to change in order to change our frequency. You can do it now. Breathe. Feel the silence between the sounds. There's an invisible wave flowing through everything, and it's listening to you. The universe doesn't speak in words. It responds to vibrations. When you feel love, the universe responds with love. When you vibrate gratitude, it opens paths. When you vibrate fear, it returns it in the form of challenges. Everything is a mirror. Everything is a wave. And that's what Tesla tried to show us from the beginning. God is not distant, observing. He vibrates within us, waiting to be recognized. And the time for that recognition is now. Therefore, this video doesn't end here. It begins now, inside you. The ideas you've heard are not for admiration, but for action. You are the transmitter. You are the field. And every choice you make from this moment on will shape the universe in which we will live tomorrow. Start with the simple things. Be silent for a minute each morning. Observe your breath. Feel gratitude for something small. Choose an act of kindness, even without a reason. Say something that uplifts someone. Write down your thoughts before bed. Touch the ground. Look at the sky. Feel the pulse of the earth. These are the invisible threads that reconnect you to the sacred wave. And as you do this every day, you'll notice something subtle. Life will begin to respond. Situations will rearrange themselves. The right people will appear. Coincidences will become signs. You'll realize that nothing is random. You were just out of tune. Tesla said that whoever understands vibration understands everything. And perhaps the everything he meant wasn't absolute knowledge, but the experience of unity, the moment when we realize that the divine is neither in the future nor in the past, but in the now. The thought of God is still vibrating, and when you decide to listen to it, something changes forever, not only in you, but in the entire field that surrounds you. This is true free energy, the power to create consciousness through one's own presence. Now take a deep breath and carry that vibe with you. Remember, every time you share a good intention, teach something new, or awaken someone to this reality, the field expands. If this video resonated with you, if at any point you felt something different, silent, profound, it's a sign that your frequency has already begun to shift. Take advantage of this momentum. Stay with us. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments, even anonymously. Every word written here is a vibrational seed sown in the collective field, and perhaps by reading what others have written, you will realize that you were never alone in this quest. Because the truth is that we are all trying to remember, together, the sacred wave that Tesla called the thought of God. And now, finally, we are beginning to hear it again.